Hey, I'm Lex, and this is Riot, and welcome to our off-grid travel life.
Very odd thing for Westerners to understand, and particularly for Americans, because we are so fixated on the future. What we call program music, like the Tchaikovsky 1812 Overture, or some of Debussy's perpetrations, such as the Glutted Cathedral, all about. Well, we've got on all kinds of weird theories that firms exist in a certain way in order to propagate themselves. Big mess of words, to be sure, but still, I would have made that mistake. Because at last you find yourself in the center, the eternal now. Can you point to the division between my five fingers? Can you, in other words, touch the difference between them? Can't be done. So don't try not to think. You just allow your thoughts to do whatever they want to do, but you listen to them like you listen to birds chattering outside the window.
Having a water filtration device is really important so that if I was to run out of water, I can use an open body and even a pretty dirty body of water using this GeoPress. It's really easy to use, so I'm going to show you how to fill it up and how to actually activate the purification process. You can get these on Amazon, and this company, Grail GeoPress, has a really interesting video of it being used in some pretty gnarly circumstances, some really quite dirty water. So this is helpful to ensure that you get as much contamination out of your water as possible. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this part with the filter on it, and I always keep a spare one of these filters, and you're gonna drop it in there, and you have to use some pressure because it forces the water through the filter. There, and now that we have it fully down, it's safe to drink. If I was in an area that had a lot of mining, a lot of heavy minerals in the water, or potentially, you want to boil your water for 6 minutes, and that's going to help to pasteurize it to ensure that it's as clean as possible. So even if you filter it, you'd want to then boil it. One of the phrases that really stuck with me was to dress to survive, not to arrive. So even though I like to be somewhat fashionable, I always make sure that my clothing serves a function. I was really spoiled in Arizona, where I could pretty much be in cotton and naked and natural fabrics. And now I'm in the high desert of Nevada, which means at night it gets down into the teens, and if I'm lucky, 20s. And during the day, like right now, it's maybe around 40, 43. So that means I have on a polyester outer layer. I have on a cotton sweatshirt, even though cotton can kill in cold weather. It's not that cold. I do have on a thermal layer. And then I wanted to show these socks. These socks were given to me by a friend. They're by a company called Randy Sun. And I really like these because not only are they exceptionally warm, they are waterproof, which means you could step into a puddle and your feet are going to still feel dry, which is really important because if your feet get wet, if your feet have a problem, you're pretty much out. Keeping your feet dry and keeping them comfortable is essential. So these waterproof socks are awesome. I'll put a link to them below. I think that they are available on Amazon. Okay, so I know right now people are stockpiling a lot of different foods, but something that I learned when I took a survival seminar is that peanut butter is one of the best foods to have on hand. So even though the body can go 30 days without food, not all of us want to fast in the moment of a survival crisis. So peanut butter is something I always keep on hand. So this is my emergency jar. I have 2 other jars just because I like peanut butter in the camper. But peanut butter has fat, it has protein, and it has some sugars for your body to burn. There's some smoke from the fire going in front of the camera. Sorry about that. Some other foods that I do keep in what is now, I guess, the bug out trailer is I keep rice and I keep canned vegetables. But I don't really stockpile because the other thing that you can do is you can forage. So a lot of people aren't as familiar with foraging as maybe our ancestors were, but even here in the desert, there's a lot of different plants that you can eat. So there is a really great book, I'll put a link to it below, and it is called The Forager's Garden, and it gives you full color pictures of plants that are edible that you can find out and about. However, let's say that you were in a real survival scenario and you didn't know what plants might be edible. You can simply do what's called a nibble test, where you take a small portion of the plant and you stick it in your mouth, you chew on it, and then you're going to spit it out and you're going to spit out your spit just in case. Now, if you had a really adverse reaction to just that amount of chewing on the plant, that amount of releasing what's in the plant, and your tongue swelled, you broke out in hives, you had any sort of adverse reaction, then that naturally is not something that you want to eat more of. Now, if you didn't have any sort of weird reaction, there's no burning, stinging, swelling, or anything like that, then you could eat a little bit more of the plant, just a small amount, see if you have diarrhea, indigestion, or a little bit else, but again, very small portions. So again, you want to do this far before the 30 days where your body can't survive without more food, because you might need to eat the whole damn bush in order to get by, worst case scenario. There is an old saying that you can eat anything that moves pretty much, but plants can kill you. So you do want to be mindful of your foraging. Again, I'll put a link to that below. I'm not an expert on it, so I don't want to talk too much at it. For instance, let's find something a little bit more green. It's not very green. So this is green. It's soft. It feels moist yet. I'll show you. And I'm only going to take that much. And it's really bitter. It's like a weird taste between chive and melon. I don't know how to describe that. Yeah. I don't know if I like it. Outside of the really pungent, almost medicinal taste of it, I guess we'll see if my tongue swells or I have any other adverse reactions. Now, I'm kind of an ironic case in general. I'm actually highly allergic to aloe, of all things, especially for a very natural type person. We discovered it when I was a little one. I was about 3 or 4. And my parents took us to Disney down in Florida, and I got this awful sunburn. And so my mom, put aloe on me. Well, I started hiving and swelling. So, she put some cold rags on me and she put more aloe on me. And then I started going into anaphylactic shock. So they brought me to the ER down in Florida, and the doctor was able to decipher that I have a pretty severe allergy to aloe. So I do have to be mindful. That could correlate to other plants that I could potentially be allergic to, which is why doing something like that little nibble test is important, so I can see if I have any sort of adverse reactions. And while it's not a super enjoyable taste, if it was that or die, I would probably survive on that and try and find some worms. I'm by a lake, and fish are always available, but they're very low in calories, so they're not going to be as helpful for survival. Just like Jesus, you need some bread with that fish. God help us. The number 3 comes up a lot in the universe, whether you're looking at the Bible, you're looking at the Bhagavad Gita, you're looking at a lot of different spiritual texts. You can even look at Nikola Tesla's theories and see the number 3 come up a lot. But another area that the number 3 shows up is in survival stuff. 3 of anything is considered a distress signal. So for instance, if I had 3 fires going right by each other, anyone in the sky could see that I was most likely in distress. 3 blasts of something or 3 blows of a whistle, these are all considered distress signals. So if you ever were in distress, trying to do 3 of something, 3 blows of your car's horn, 3 whistle blows, 3 gunshots, 3 of anything in succession is generally seen as a sign of distress. So something really important to always have with you, because obviously heat and fire is also crucial to survival, is to always have something you can ignite. So something I always carry with me in this little baggie is a roll of jute. And jute might be familiar to anyone that does protection sports with a dog, because that's what a lot of bite sleeves are made out of. I think maybe rugs and stuff is made out of jute as well. But we all know from our own experiences. So I have a roll of jute material. Also, something that's real flammable is cotton balls that have petroleum on them. The thing that's really flammable but too precious right now is hand sanitizer. There's a high alcohol content in like Purell, and it's pretty flammable. So I've started fires with hand sanitizer in the past, but naturally I'm not going to do that now because we're all hoarding the shit out of that, except for me, because I'm almost out. Riot and I have been just kind of bugging out in the trailer, avoiding towns as much as possible. My work has been postponed. I got a call. They just told me that it was on, and then now I got a call that it is postponed. So she didn't even say it was 100% postponed. She said it's most likely postponed. So my start date was supposed to be April 2nd, and now apparently it may or may not be, is how she said it. And I was like, well, should I or should I not show up? So she's like, I don't know. Maybe it's an Oregon thing. I lived in Chicago the last over a dozen years, and things either are or they aren't, but apparently not. I guess nothing right now either is or isn't. So it's probably not her fault. She can't give me a definitive. But from the sounds of it, I'm not in a rush to get up to Oregon. So I'll be hanging around here, playing with fire, looking at the lake, and hopefully getting by. Hopefully everyone else is getting by. My dog's off chasing rabbits and lizards. I'm gonna go get her back, and I hope everyone's doing good. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. I really enjoy making these videos, and it's always nice to know if somebody likes it too. And if you don't, just stop watching them, or don't, or whatever. Everybody do you. That's a good way to be.